Welcome to your tarot card review video. I'm Sal Jade, and I'm a clairvoyant healer and psychic development coach with the Psychic Healing Academy. One of the most frequent questions I get asked by my tarot students is, how do I know which deck to choose? With so many on the market, it really can be overwhelming to find a deck that will suit your learning needs, your personality, and the style and the way that you love to do your tarot card readings. Often we can buy a deck and find that we don't really gel with it, or it's far too difficult for our learning level and we don't have the time to master it. Or we might get home and go through the images and feel that they're just too confronting, or that the cards aren't really traditional enough to make sense. So I've created this free video for you to help you pick up a deck that suits you by reviewing 8 of the most popular tarot card decks. Each of these reviews will help you to understand more about the history and the background of the deck, the level of difficulty of the deck, and the pros and cons of each of the decks. This will hopefully help you make a better decision about which deck you can choose, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned tarot reader. So enjoy this video, and as always, please subscribe to the Psychic Healing channel if you wish to receive more free psychic training videos. In this section, we're going to look at the different types of tarot decks that you can use when you are doing your tarot readings. I wanted to introduce you to various tarot decks because it's really important that you pick a deck that most resonates with you. And even though we are studying the Rider-Waite deck in this course, I thought I'd introduce it more just to help you see the variety that's out there in interpretations, imagery, and different kind of decks that you can use. The 3 tarot decks that you see here are the 3 that I own: the Rider-Waite, the Thoth, and the Psychic Tarot. I hardly ever use the Thoth deck anymore, and I'll explain why when we go into it. However, the other 2, the Rider-Waite and the Psychic Tarot, I use every day in my readings, and I like to mix them up sometimes just to put new energy on the cards. For yourself personally, you might find that you want to buy 3 or 4 decks and see what you get the feel for. But for now, we're going to go into the Rider-Waite deck. The Rider-Waite deck is the most commonly recognised deck that you can see. You might have often seen it in movies and television shows, and even in common imagery that you see written about the tarot. It was created in 1904 by Arthur Rider-Waite, and the artwork is done by Pamela Coleman. The Rider-Waite deck is the one that most other tarot decks base their structure on. So what we've mentioned previously with the structure having the 56 cards of the minor arcana and the major arcana cards, that's the structure that most tarot decks base their structure on. The Thoth Crowley Tarot was created by Aleister Crowley, and the artwork is by Lady Frieda Harris. There's a lot of complex symbology in there, and they deal a lot with the unconscious and the conscious mind. The Thoth deck is a fascinating study of human psychology, and I really love the images of these. This was actually the first deck I ever owned. My mother bought it for me as a birthday gift, and I'm so attracted to these images, but over the years I've stopped using the deck as much because there is a lot more of a darker element to it, and so I have preferred to return to the Rider-Waite. As you can see, these images are just absolutely stunning. And the major arcana card appears as trumps. So you still have the same labels like the Fool and the Universe, which is similar to the World. However, the difference is that they're called trumps and not the major arcana, so to speak, although it still traditionally is the major arcana. There's a lot of biblical references and mythology that exist in the tarot of the Thoth. And the book itself goes into the I Ching, it goes into astrology, numerology, it even goes into fragrances and crystals. The Hermetic Kabbalistic views of the Order of the Golden Dawn, of which he was a member, base a lot of the theory and philosophy and theology behind the Thoth deck. So as I said, it is quite complex and it's quite fascinating, but in its time it was often associated with the occult. So when you go through the images, you can probably see why, because they're quite intense. It is important to note also with the Thoth deck that you could use it when you are doing this course. However, some of the positions are actually switched and some of the references are switched in the minor arcana too, so you might get a little confused. So for now, I suggest you stick with the Rider-Waite deck. The Mythic Tarot. The Mythic Tarot is another really popular deck, and it's by Juliet Sharman Burke and Liz Green and Tricia Newell. It features archetypal images of the tarot that are entwined with the heroes and the gods from the Greek mythology. So it's got a lot of that timeless, universal mythology in it, which is very powerful. The cards represent the various stages of the myths. There's a lot of mixed reactions from reviews about the new Mythic Tarot and the Mythic Tarot. Some readers feel it deviates too much from the original tarot interpretations, and they find that the Rider-Waite or other decks are a little bit more consistent with what the traditional structure is and the traditional interpretations. Others actually really like that it mirrors and reflects the timeless nature of human stories. So again, you get that feeling that you get when you hear a myth of something like the universal nature of humanity that comes through the cards. The Golden Tarot deck is from an Australian author and writer called Kat Black. It pays a lot of tribute to artwork from the Renaissance and the medieval periods. And it's based on the Rider-Waite deck formula. So it does make it quite easy to use, and you can use it in this course as well because it will correspond similarly with the images. It was voted the most popular deck for many, many years. The Gilded Tarot is one of my very favourites. It's quite unusual that I don't own it, considering I love it so much. I think I'm afraid that I'll just use it too much and I'll stop loving it as much because the images fascinate me here. Kiro Marchetti they're phenomenal digital imagery here that are a blend of medieval, fantasy and mechanical imagery, along with that steampunk imagery. It always feels very surreal to me to look at these images. They're just gorgeous, as you can see from the High Priestess and the Empress there. It also follows the Rider-Waite model. When I was the manager of a crystal shop many years ago, I often would recommend the Easy Tarot to people who were really just getting started and a little bit nervous, particularly people who had English as a second language, because there is a very easy booklet that comes with this that gives you a general overview. The Easy Tarot is by Josephine Ellishaw, and it uses the Gilded Tarot cards that we saw previously by Marchetti. As I said, it's very popular with beginners and it's very easy to learn. Now this is a new deck that I've only just started exploring, and it is a very beautiful deck with lovely energy. It's created by Doreen Virtue, who creates a lot of the Angel Oracle cards, and Rayleigh Valentine, and the artwork is by Steve Roberts. It follows most of the Rider-Waite model, so again you could actually use this in correspondence with the course. However, it does swap some positions, so some of the major arcana is in a little bit different, and they're called different names. So for here, for example, up on the top right, we have the card Release, number 13, which traditionally means death in the tarot. So it's the same concept, you're releasing something that no longer serves you, but they've called it much more positive, much less intimidating, a little bit more gentle. It uses the archangels as the major arcana, and there's a lot of very gentle messages of love and spiritual guidance and growth here. The Psychic Tarot, as I mentioned, is actually one of my very favourites, and it is the one I use the most along with the Rider-Waite deck. It's only been around for about 4 or 5 years as far as I know, and I've started using it as soon as I opened the pack. I thought these images are just stunning, and what I loved about it was very, very easy to use, and the little booklet that came with it was really easy to recommend. So I often, in my beginner's psychic courses, give this and say, listen, if you want to get started and you don't have a lot of time, then the Psychic Tarot is really good because it's also quite gentle. So it's similar to the Doreen Virtue in the way that it's much gentler than the Rider-Waite, yet it does consistently stick to a lot of the traditional meanings of the tarot that are followed by Rider-Waite. The Psychic Tarot was created by the psychic medium John Holland, and it's, as I said, it's slightly different interpretations of Rider-Waite, but follows the same model. Very gentle, big focus on spiritual lessons. The only confusing thing about this deck is that there are no 10s in it and there's no court cards. Now, as someone who occasionally wrestles with the court cards, I kind of find it a relief to sometimes not have them there. It's sometimes nice to be able to give a reading without having to do so many multiple interpretations which are involved with the court card interpretations. However, the existence of no 10 for me has always been a bit puzzling, especially with the Cups suit and the Pentacles suit, because the 10 is the full completion of the suit. So it's interesting that they don't have it. However, as I said, it really doesn't take away from your readings. I find I still give really powerful readings with this deck. And as I said, it's very easy for beginners. So just to recap, there is a huge variety of decks to choose from. Most fortune tellers and readers will look at the Rider-Waite deck as the basic model structure to use, and there are others that are a lot more useful for beginners. Others, like the Thoth deck, require much deeper study for the more serious tarot student. In the next lecture, we're going to look at how you can choose a deck yourself. So the best way that you can tap into a deck that resonates with you to choose for a tarot reading. I hope you've enjoyed your free tarot card review and are feeling more confident now choosing a tarot deck. For more free psychic training videos, please subscribe to this channel. And if you'd love to study tarot online with Sal Jade Psychic Healing Academy, please check out www.saljade.com/psychic-courses. Thanks for watching.